Welcome. I'm really happy, and I talk also for Gabriel of having the chance to share this content, this session with you. As Brenda said, I am Luis. I work as creative director here in Ogilvy Barcelona. I have been working on advertising for some years from now, and for almost 10 years I've been teaching too, always around creativity and storytelling. I have wrote a novel too. I've published a novel, some short stories too. So somehow I really love what I do. This means that sometimes I work too much. My wife is not happy with this, but apart from this, I really enjoy doing everything related with storytelling. At the end, on advertising, we are constantly using storytelling too. And also, of course, teaching and sharing all this knowledge that through the years we had. We are based in Barcelona, probably you know the city. Today we'll talk about storytelling because as Brenda said to you, I am co-founder of Fantastica Storytelling School. This is here you have the website. It's in Spanish right now, but I hope that soon we will be able also to offer the English version. It's a small project, but somehow we are really in love with this project because it's born from a true belief that we have, that we share with Gabriel, the co-founder of the school, and Gemma, the third member of this project. We have the strong belief that through storytelling, we can somehow improve our reality and we can improve our world. Before this, I want you to see just a short video, 40 seconds, not more, I think. There are no audio, so don't worry about the audio because there aren't. And after this, we will comment briefly what we saw. Okay, can anyone share, explain, tell what we saw on this video, or what you felt that you were watching on this video?
It seemed like the big triangle was like a bully, and he was like chasing around the little triangle and the circle, and then at the end he got mad when they got away.
Cool, really cool, because this is an old experiment from 1945, I think, and what you understood from this video is what most of the people understood. They shared this content with several people, and mainly most of them talk about someone being bullied, someone being somehow suffering violence, jealousy, toxic relations, etc., etc. But almost anyone said, like, I have seen like two triangles and a square moving on a white space, because in fact is what we saw. There are no doubt that we saw just some geometrical figures moving around, but our brain is always trying to understand reality as a story, because this is how our brain works. We need to understand reality, and to understand reality in the better possible, in the more possible way, in the better way, we need to build stories. And this is why when we see this video, the first time I saw it, I thought exactly the same as you, Oliana. I thought like, okay, this guy is being violent against the other guy, etc. Because my brain understood the video as a story. And this is why storytelling is so important, because we understand reality as storytelling, and storytelling always produce an emotion, because that's the strong connection between storytelling and emotion is what makes storytelling so powerful. There's always an emotion behind storytelling. Sometimes, of course, we don't get the emotion we are looking for. Sometimes we are expecting to produce, I don't know, happiness or joy, and we produce boredom. Why not? Or we want to make people laugh and they don't laugh. Okay, this could happen. But anyway, we are producing an emotion. Maybe not the expected one, but we are producing an emotion. And of course, when we get the right emotion, when we get exactly the emotion we are looking for, it's a match. It's really, really powerful. Maya Angelou said something so powerful that somehow it's one of the inspiring quotes that led us to create Fantastica Storytelling School. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. That's always true. So the goal for this session that we are having today is just this: provide you with some tools, some tips to help you produce the right emotion, the emotions that you are looking for in your storytellings. Something really important that it's not on the presentation, but I want to insist on this. We are all storytellers. No matter if we are working, I don't know, of course, as TV writers, script writers, journalists, creative on advertising agencies. That's obvious. But if you are working on any company, in your own startups, if you are doing, I don't know, traveling around the world, whatever, if you are just taking care of your family, everything that you do, we are storytellers, because as humans, we are storytellers. So understanding how storytelling works, understanding that every emotion has its own storytelling too, it's really helpful. It's like a two-way street. Storytelling produces emotions, but also emotions, every emotion has its own storytelling. You know, maybe you saw the Pixar movie Inside Out, great movie, and they collaborated with a famous psychologist, these 6 basic emotions, Paul Ekman: fear, surprise, disgust, anger, happiness, and sadness. These are the 6 basic emotions. Very important, they are universal, so they don't depend on, I don't know, like social status, country, culture. No matter if you are living in the smaller village on China or on the big city, London, Paris, New York, whatever. The 6 emotions, the 6 basic emotions are universal, and each of these emotions has its own storytelling. For example, let me go through the fear. What's the storytelling of the fear? There's something out that somehow could harm me. This is why I have fear. Of course, if we are in the jungle and we see a lion, we will have fear. But sometimes, maybe some of you is dealing with these problems. Some people has fear of public speaking, and somehow we feel that there is something out, the audience, the people in the conference room, that could harm me. If we understand this storytelling, we will be able somehow to fix this emotion. Sadness, I've lost something important to me and I'm not sure if I can get it back. That's really strong. What's the storytelling of rage? There is a limit that has been crossed. I want to set it back. When we are really on rage, when we are really angry, is because somehow we are feeling that some limits have been crossed. Here, you know that in Spain and in a lot of countries in Europe, we use a lot of English slang, English words, and now it's really common to talk about red flags. What are red flags? Red flags are limits. And if you don't want me on rage, you need to respect this red flag, because if you cross it, I will be angry. Happiness, what's happiness? I want to celebrate. I want to share this happiness I'm feeling with other people. Disgust, I'm not sure to incorporate this inside me because I could intoxicate myself. Important too, you know, of course there are some food that produces disgust to us, that is disgusting to us, but some people too. And if we understand that somehow incorporating these people in our daily life could intoxicate us, we will try to avoid these toxic relations. And surprise, that it's always appears like on the last position, because somehow surprise is a bridge emotion. It's an emotion that leads you to another emotion. Surprise, it's a very short one, a powerful one, but the effect of surprise is really short, because I'm living something that I did not expect to live. I'm surprised, but usually after surprise comes happiness, comes sadness, comes fear. Okay, it's like the first before the second one. This is about the storytelling of these basic emotions. With these basic emotions, we can combine them as if we were like a chef, just cooking and preparing some emotional recipes, and we can create hundreds of other emotions. It's really important, because if we understand this, we will be able to somehow prepare the emotional design of our storytelling. And this is what we will talk now about, understanding that every storytelling needs an emotional design. How we build this emotional design? 4 simple steps, very simple. The first thing, why I'm telling this, now I will go through each of them. Why I'm telling this, from which emotion I'm talking, from which emotion I'm delivering this message, what's the emotion I expect to produce on the audience, and of course, what's the audience. I need to know my audience to be able to connect with their emotions. Why I'm telling this? We need a purpose. Every storytelling, every time that we are telling something to another person, no matter if it's like a big pitch in front of a big audience, or just a short WhatsApp message, or a small talk on a bar, whatever, we need a purpose. We are talking about this because we expect to achieve one goal. Maybe the goal is to sell a project. Maybe the goal is to have an increase of our salary. Maybe the goal is just make some time before the big game starts on TV, whatever. But we need to understand, why are we sharing this storytelling? This is the first thing. When we need when we know what's the purpose, we need to find the emotion that we will use to talk, from which emotion we will deliver our message. Here you have some examples. For example, we can use like generosity. I have something to share. I'm happy to share this with you. This is an emotion. Another emotion could be boldness. I'm a brave person. I'm not. I want to go beyond my limits. I can do this. Bravery too. Courage. I'm not afraid of sharing this with you because it's very important and I want you to know it. Another example, we can talk, for example, from enthusiasm. Today, at least, I'm trying. I'm not trying because for real, I'm sharing this with you from the enthusiasm. I'm totally committed with what I'm talking, and I expect that this enthusiasm somehow will help me to deliver the message. So we need to find and to pick and to choose the emotion from which we want to talk, but also really important, we need to know the emotion that we want to provoke on our audience, because that's really important too. For example, on alarm systems here on the agency, some years ago we worked for a big security company, you know, alarm systems on big houses and offices, etc. The emotion that they usually want to provoke on their storytellings is fear. They tell stories about burglaries and some people having awful incidents at home because they want us to make us fear. Okay, so what do we want to provoke on the audience is so important. Maybe we want to provoke curiosity, to just introduce some topics that will make our audience to know more, or inspiration. Maybe we want to inspire our audience. Some other examples, dabs. Okay, I never did this before. Maybe we should try it or no. Okay, two more, the urgency. That's very common on the storytellings that we use on advertising, because we need to create this sense of urgency on our audiences. You need to do it, but you need to do it now. Or wonder, that is, I always remember the first time I had an iPhone on my hands. It was like a lot of years ago, but the first time I saw it, I was really amazed. So the storytelling of having that device on my hands was absolutely wonder. It happened the same recently. I was on a Tesla car for the first time and I thought the same. Wow, this is amazing. So the emotion that we want to produce, if we have a clear idea of the emotion we want to produce, we will be able to build a good storytelling to achieve it. And finally, of course, we need to know who are we talking to, because for sure we don't talk the same way, I don't know, to our grandparents than to our boss or to our girlfriend, boyfriend, or to our best friend. We adapt the way that we talk to our audience constantly. We do it naturally. We can change easily our tone, our somehow our word selection, depending on who are we talking to. This is why it's so important to know our audience, because we won't talk the same way if we are talking, I don't know, to some investors than if we are talking to some followers of our project, to some family or friends. It's really important to know our audience, to know exactly the emotions that move them. That's the key of knowing our audience, because if you are an investor, the emotions, if you are an investor that are just looking for some startups to invest, the emotions that are moving you are absolutely different from, I don't know, like some people that some prospect clients that maybe will buy your product or your service. So we need to know who are we talking to in order to build the right storytelling. How to structure an emotional storytelling? Easy and simple, because somehow the simple things are the best ones. Aristotle. Okay, I know that it happened to me when I started reading. Okay, Aristotle. Wow, that's really deep philosophy, but he was really a smart guy. I'm not saying something that you don't know, because he established the main rule of storytelling. That is what you have here. A whole story is what has a beginning, a middle, and an end. That's obvious. We all know this, but we should not forget it, because if you have a beginning, something that happens in the middle, and an ending, you have a storytelling. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. The three acts structure are the Aristotelian ones and are really useful on every aspect on storytelling. Complementing this, or just amplifying this a little bit, we have the Freytag Pyramid that gives a little bit more context on the Act 2, okay? Because you see, there are 5 stages in the Freytag Pyramid. The exposition, that is somehow like the beginning. On the middle, we have the rising action. Things on every story, things tend to get like complicated because we need things to happen. If you want to send a letter and you go to the post office and send the letter, okay, that's a story, but it's not an interesting one. But imagine that you want to send a letter and you are going to the post office and the post office is closed. But then you go to another post office and every post office on the city is closed, and you think like, why every post office is closed if it's Tuesday at 10 a.m., whatever, okay? We need complications. The climax is the moment of the more where these complications are really on a yes or no moment, on a living or dying, winning or losing, you know, on every story. And we tend, at least it happens to me, to think, of course, on books and movies and TV shows, but also when we are, I don't know, like doing a pitch for working with a potential client, there is always a moment of yes or no. What are you going to do? You will go with us, you will stay with us, or you will go with another company, whatever. This is the climax. And after the climax, it's time to somehow recover ourselves. It's time to make the action just fall to close the story. If we end the story on just after the climax, it's like, okay, there is a big fight and Luke Skywalker just kills the Emperor and end. It's like, no, we need to just close the story, taking some time to explain what happens. Very simple. Emma Coates wrote famous rules. She's a writer from Pixar, Disney, and she wrote some rules on writing storytelling. And on that rules, she shared something that is so simple, and we love this story spine, because you see, everyone can write just a story. Once upon a time, there was whatever, every day, until one day, this inciting incident that makes the story somehow explode because of that, until finally, if we just, 6 lines, not more, to have a story. And as we were saying before, this is something that we can use, of course, to write a novel, to write a movie script, but also on a startup pitch, for example. Once upon a time, there was a problem, and every day, every solution around was really a bad one. until one day a big solution appeared, some solution that will change it forever. Because of this, our solution proved to be much better. Because of this, every time more people, your traction, there is always a moment where something small gets mainstream and a lot of people start using it until finally you got like the market that you were looking for. Okay, you see, the structure is so simple and we can use it on a lot of different situations. For example, this one for a startup pitch. What more? Let me share with you some other interesting structures of building storytelling that of course will help you to provide like the right emotion to your audience. We love this one. It's called public narrative. It was not created but the academic that wrote about this public narrative is called Marshall Ganz. Marshall Ganz is, if I'm not wrong, he's an academic on Stanford University. And it's really cool how with just 3 small stories, we can get a strong and powerful one. He talks about starting with a story of self, somehow introducing you. I'm this person, I do this, I do that, okay? I have a purpose because I want to do this, I want to do that. You start with the story of self. After this, you go to the story of now, why we need to act, I prefer on the other direction. We go to the story of us. I'm this way, but we are a community with some shared values. I'm not different from you. I'm part of this community. And then it comes the story of now. We need to act now. We need to do whatever I want to do. And I think that we can do together just right now because there's this sense of urgency. This structure was famous because Barack Obama used a very, very similar structure on some of his first speeches when he was running for the presidential elections first time. And it was really useful because it's like, okay, I'm Barack Obama. Maybe you don't know me because at the beginning, of course, he was not a well-known politician. So maybe you don't know me, but I was born in Hawaii. My parents were from Kenya, etc. Then, as we all Americans, etc., and we need to act now. We need to take some decisions now. So it's really, really interesting, this public narrative structure. Very interesting structures are the ones established by Annete Simmons, that is also an expert on storytelling. She established 6 kinds of storytelling. I will talk just about 3 of them because somehow are the ones that I love more, but you have here on the presentation the other ones too. So the first one, who am I? That's simple, but sometimes it's really important. It's similar to this story of self that we saw at the beginning. You need to introduce yourself, you need to explain where you come from, etc., etc. This is one structure. The second one, why I'm here. Here we are talking about purpose. You need to be very clear on what you want to expect, what you want to get, because this is important to combine the audience and to provoke some emotions on them. That brings me to something really, really important too. On storytelling, we always project ourselves on the hero of the story. That's very important. When we are, I don't know, imagine that we are watching Harry Potter movies. We tend to imagine that we are Harry Potter, maybe we are Hermione. This is how our brain works. This is what makes storytelling so powerful, because we feel more connected with this because somehow we are projecting ourselves. So when you are turning yourself into the hero of your story, that's great because you will connect better with your audience. Talking about your personal life, talking about your expectations, it's great. There's nothing wrong on this. Next one, I love this one too, the visionary storytelling. What's the visionary storytelling? You are not talking about yourself, you are not talking about your expectations, you talk about the future. You talk about the future that you want for the community, for the company, for the family, whatever. Okay. And sometimes it's useful to talk from the future. It's like, okay, I'm here, I'm in the future, and we get this, and we are much better now because we have this and that. So projecting everyone on the future, it's really interesting on making people imagine this and willing for this future. This is something also that we do sometimes on presentation pitches. It's like we close our presentation showing some of the results that the presentation and the creativity that we are selling will produce. Values in action is another structure that we can use. You can just look for it, because it's basically talking about what's story doing too. It's like, okay, don't tell me what you do, just show me what you do. Okay, if I see what you do, I will believe your storytelling. It's values in action. It's about story doing. And the teaching, it's curious. There are nice examples on this. It's like somehow, instead of talking about the theory of whatever, just show real examples, just show exemplary stories that will again make us project on this hero of the story, and we will connect with this. And I love also this one, the I know what you are thinking. This is very, very, very useful. Why? Because it happens a lot. Okay, sometimes while you are speaking, that your audience is having some objections, and this because it's very important to know ourselves. If you just show these objections first, it's like you are winning like the hand. It's like you are closer to disarm them, because it's like, okay, I know that you are thinking that maybe I'm too young, but let me tell you something. And of course, then you build the answer to this objection, because of course, if you say, I know that you are thinking that I'm too young, and you are right, that's not a good idea. But if you are able to disarm them using this I know what you are thinking structure, I promise that you will get extraordinary results. In fact, I don't know what you are thinking now. I would love having you thinking something like, okay, that was interesting. Maybe from now I will try to be more aware on the power of emotions. This was somehow the emotion I was willing to produce on you. I talk from the enthusiasm to get it. And now I don't know if you have any question or comment. I will be glad to answer you and to listen your feedback.
I actually have a question, and that would be, because we are a UX startup that works a lot with digital products. How can we actually combine or use this storytelling with those digital products? For example, like we know that copywriting exists for the digital products, and how we can actually have this copywriting and storytelling more like into the digital products.
I love the question, because it's absolutely connected. In fact, in Fantastica Storytelling School, we always use an example that for us, it's the perfect example of how storytelling is everywhere, and it's totally connected with UX, because when you are putting some files on the trash bin on your computer, that's UX. At the end, it's like, okay, I have the file, I move the file to the bin, but it's storytelling too, because you have the beginning, you have a file that you want to erase, to destroy, you have this process of just moving the file to the bin, and of course the ending. What will happen with this file? Empty trash bin, and the file is not existing anymore. So I think that on UX, more than on any other place, I would say, it's great to work with this emotional design, storytelling emotional design on mind. It's like, okay, I know that maybe my audience will be not using the laptop, maybe, and now it's more common, he or she will have like the phone, the smartphone on its hands. How I can tell this story of getting the new read, or being easily understood in a short text, and knowing exactly what emotion we want to produce, okay? Because people is really anxious and they don't have time. We are just one thumb away of disappearing sometimes on UX. So I think that the idea is that could really be really helpful having this in mind. It's like, okay, it's UX, but on UX there's always a introduction, somehow a middle plot, a plot where some things will happen, and very important, the ending. What's the result of taking this action, of doing this whatever? And I will share also with you, probably you know this because it's famous, but I was really amazed when I discovered this book, Storytelling in Design, that somehow talks about it, just in case that someone is not familiar with it. Here you have like the Amazon link. And I remember 3 years ago, more or less, before the pandemic, I was in some conferences about design experience, and I remember that somehow was not sad, but the best conference, the best speech of the 2 days of conferences was one made by a magician. He made a cool experience with all the audience, just doing a cool trick with some cards. And I was surprised because I got aware that somehow user experience and design experience is very similar to a magical trick. And it's the same. It's like you start with something that somehow it's something that we all expect. Then things got complicated somehow. Of course, on user experience, having things getting complicated, it's not positive, but sometimes we need to go through difficult processes, and we need to be sure that these difficult processes are not too difficult. And of course, at the end, it's like, whoa, the result, that was easy. I love to do this, I love to do that. For me, this is there is a strong connection between storytelling and user experience. And of course, in the most simple way, I will say this is like, remember or try to imagine that you are magicians. In fact, you are, because people don't know how you do what you do, but they are amazed of the things that you do. I'm really happy of having the chance to share with you this almost an hour. I know that Gabriel, that is here, is happy to. And just in the case that you are Spanish speakers, you can meet us on Fantastica School. And as I said before, we will work on the English version soon.
Perfect.
A real pleasure.
Thank you so much for being here, Luis and Gabriel, and also for sharing about the Fantastic School and for sharing all this knowledge. I think it's going to be super helpful for everyone here to know a little bit more about how we can manage all that emotions into our storytelling about everything that we want to put through life. It's going to be great. Again, thanks for being here. Thanks for the time. Thanks for the flexibility. And thank you, everyone in the team, to being here and to actually get to know a little bit more about storytelling with Luis and Gabriel. Thank you so much.
A pleasure.
Yes.
Have a nice day and a great weekend.